The obturator nerve is the nerve for the actual adductor muscles, which are the inner thigh muscles. And the obturator nerve goes through two muscles, the muscle called the obturator internus and the obturator externus. But the obturator externus is the main muscle that can really trap the obturator nerve. So we're going to release the obturator externus muscle first. They call it externus because the one in the front is closer to the outside of the body than the one on the inside, which is under all the gluteal muscles and everything. So anyway, this is how you release the obturator externus muscle, and it's really deep down in there, and you have to feel for this obturator fossa, which is fossa means hole in the bone, and there's kind of a manhole cover, or like a hole in that bone right under the attachment of the muscle over the ischium there. So we got to press down in there and try to make out where you think that where it feels like the hole is and where that muscle is going over to it, and try to release it. And remember that the obturator nerve goes through this muscle. So, it's a big nerve, and it's the nerve that goes to all the adductor muscles, so it can be really tender, and you have to, definitely be careful when you're pressing into this area. So, it's an adductor muscle itself. So the yang-yin release mechanics are the same as this muscle here called the pectineus. The pectineus I kind of remembered because it has a similar trajectory as the pectoralis major muscle up in the pecs, but it comes straight across from the pubic bone, but it's on the front plane of the pubic bone instead of the plane that of the pubic bone that runs around under towards the ischium. So it's along what they call the pubic ramus, which is kind of the front part of the pubic bone, and it's like a wall of muscle that comes over to the femur where I'm pressing there, and what you have to do is stretch the femur into abduction the way I am, and I usually use a phalanx position where I'm using my fingers together, the ridges of my fingers together, to stretch it, stretch the femur into abduction, and also like really lay into some pressure points there into the pectineus and do the yang-yin pulses to get some release. Now let's look at the adductor brevis muscle, which is just below the pectineus muscle. It's the third adductor now. We did the obturator externus. Now we're doing and then the pectineus. Now we're doing the adductor brevis. Brevis means short, like brief, and it comes from the pubic bone. It's the shortest of the muscles that have adductor in the name, though, and it runs, down to the upper portion of the femur. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of pinpointing exactly, into the exact fibers I need to be in. I'm holding the muscle that her leg's already into an abducted position, so I don't really have to stretch it too far. But here, let me help it out a little bit more. So now what I'm doing is I'm stretching with my other hand. You have to really be careful on the hand that's on the pubic bone side. Just be careful with your pressure and placement. But what you want to do is right next to the pubic bone is really the best release points for this. The points come in really close to the attachments. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of stabilizing my hand with the hand that's covering the fingers that are on the pressure points. So the hand that's being covered, that has pressure points that are deeper into the muscle, and then that the hand of the hand that's on top is pushing into those fingers, and then actually those fingers are coming over and getting a little bit closer to the attachment. So a lot of times I'll use both of my hands to do pressure points along a long muscle, like the adductors. All the leg muscles are so long, you have to use leverage tricks with your hands. They're not like the small muscles in like the face or even in the forearms or arms. So what I'm doing is, holding the adductor brevis into that abducted position, and finding different fibers where I can do yang-yin pulses, where I'm holding the pressure and slowly backing out and creating releases. Now let's talk about the adductor longus. So the adductor longus is the second longest of the adductors that have adductor in the name, and as you can see, I'm the hand that's further out from the pubic bone, my right hand, is quite a bit further away from the pubic bone than it was when I was doing the adductor brevis or the pectineus or especially the obturator externus muscle. So you see the angle there. So the idea is always just to stretch the muscle by putting the body into a position that stretches it. In this case, the femur, by stretching the hip joint into and that position of abduction for the femur. And the pubic bone is just above where my left hand is. And so you see, you have to get it in relatively close to the pubic bone to get releases for the adductors. The pressure points just happen to be up close to there. When you get out into the femur side, there are actually like a lot of arteries and veins once you get out into the thigh that you want to kind of stay away from. So it's good to do most of the points out towards the pubic bone. So let's do the adductor magnus now. The adductor magnus means big, like magnificent. So it's the biggest of all the adductors. It actually has two heads. It has one head that looks like the adductor brevis and longus, where it has kind of a ribbon-like shape that where it just gets larger or wider on the femoral attachment side. But it also has sort of a sausage shape head, they call it, that looks a little bit more like a hamstring. It comes from the ischium and goes straight down to the back of the leg and attaches to the actual tibia. So the adductor magnus is a really large adductor. It's almost the last adductor. There's only one more after this. But see the way I'm doing it, I'm still just holding the leg into abduction while I'm stretching it, and I'm generating yang-yin pulses is what I'm doing. So with both hands, I'm doing yang, where I'm holding the stretch, slowly pressing in. I'm trying to see if I can get it to feel like it might melt, and then I get the rebound where I start backing my pressure out, and maybe over like a minute or two. I'm really doing it for a good amount of time in this demonstration, right? So slowly backing out for a really long period of time and waiting for the releases. And when the release comes out, you just really feel like the muscle just melts. So it's a large muscle though, so the adductor magnus you have to do for a while just to get it to release all the way. And remember, it has two different parts. So my index finger on my left hand is going towards the head that attaches to the ischium and runs straight down. It looks kind of like a hamstring. And then my fingers, the little finger and the other, from the ring finger and middle finger, those are over the ribbon part of the adductor magnus that looks like the other adductor muscles. So let's see. We'll give this one more shot here with the adductor magnus, and then we'll go ahead and go on to the gracilis. And the gracilis is associated with grace because it pulls the legs together, right? Helps us walk gracefully. And it's the longest of the adductors, and it has kind of a graceful shape to it, I think. So it drops down from the pubic bone and attaches to the tibia, almost, basically at the knee. So the way to stretch it is the way I'm doing, where you just put the leg into an abduction position, which is stretching the muscle. And with both hands, you're holding pressure points and just, doing slow, increasing pressure into the pressure points and increasing the stretch, increasing the pressure. And also while you're doing that, you're trying to make sure that you're finding the tightest fibers and zeroing into the tightest points on the tightest fibers that you're feeling. And after you do the yang pulses for up to 60 seconds, then you slowly start backing your pressure out and make it feel like you're backing out, even though you don't back your pressure all the way off. In fact, it's so slow that if someone was watching you, they wouldn't be able to visually perceive your hand backing out. But to you, you're making it feel like you're backing out. Anyway, it's one of those things that I talk about over and over again. And that's it for the adductors and the obturator muscle. So go ahead and give this a shot. This will definitely open up someone's inner thigh, and they might even be able to do Chinese-style splits if you do this effectively. So give it a shot. Catch you on the next one.